Hi there and welcome to the Made by Jo Crafty podcast. My name is Jo. I'm a knitter, sewer, crocheter, general crafter based in Fife in Scotland, and today is a new podcast episode. I think it's episode 24, but if I'm wrong I will insert it on the screen. Today we are covering so many things. The month of October has been full of crafts and holidays and fun, so we have lots of different crafts to talk about, lots of finished objects to talk about, a few whips, and then some acquisitions at the end. I guess I'll start by giving a little bit of context. In October, I had a week of holiday with my partner. We went up north in Scotland and did a bit of a tour in our self-converted camper van. We visited a bunch of places. We started in Fort William, then we travelled up to Arisaig and Skye, and then we went to Fort Augustus at Loch Ness and ended up in Glenmore. So a nice little round the way tour. And on our way back from that trip we visited a yarn shop which is in the Perth and Kinross area. And I can't remember the name of it, so again, I'll pop it on the screen. And I picked up some stuff there, so we'll talk about that later. And then I came back from that holiday, and the following weekend I went with my best friend to a place not too far from where we are now, and we stayed in an Airbnb, and it was lovely. We decided to have a weekend away where we could just craft, enjoy each other's company, watch Hallmark autumn movies, and just, hang out. So I'm going to start by telling you or showing you what we made on that trip. My best friend is getting married next year, so she wanted to do some relaxing crafts. She also wanted to do some maybe practice crafts for things she wants to include in the wedding. So I'm going to start with those because I've only got one of each thing, and then I'll go into sort of the standard knitting that I talk about in every episode. So while we were away, one of the biggest things she wanted to do was work on some friendship bracelets. We went to Taylor Swift last year and loved making bracelets together, so we knew we'd have a good time, and I'm actually wearing some of the bracelets we made. I have a Maid of Honour bracelet, I have one with my dog's name on, but she bought these little seed beads, and we made some beautiful seed bead bracelets while we were away. I do have more of them, but they're over there, so I'm not going to bother getting them out, but she's thinking about using them within her wedding or just for like her bridesmaids and things like that. So we decided to make some seed bead bracelets, which were a lot of fun. Would recommend. She just bought sort of a bead pack, and then we just sat and made made bracelets while we watched movies. It was lovely. We also decided to go to a shop in Fife called Rejects. It's in Kirkcaldy, and it has an entire craft and haberdashery section, and we went together and we just had a look. Oh, Albie's whining at me, bear with. Sorry about that, he was whining. We went to Rejects and we picked up some craft kits from their big haberdashery section. They've got lots of fabric, lots of yarn, although the yarn is like big box brands yarn, and then they have lots of little try it out kits. And we went to the Christmas section because that's what we were inspired by the day we went shopping, and picked up some decoration making kits. So we wanted to try needle felting, and we also wanted to try making felt decorations. So I'll start with my felt decorations. I just made one, and it is this adorable little hot air balloon. It was really fun actually. I just did it while I was watching a movie, and it was super simple to do. All the pieces are pre-cut out, and you just sit and stitch some pieces together, and it was actually very relaxing. Really easy, I think, to do with kids or with friends that aren't particularly crafty, and then it's just a nice piece that you can put on your Christmas tree or a decoration for your home. Mine will be for the Christmas tree, but it's just sitting on our mantelpiece just now because there's no point in putting it away and then getting it out again at Christmas, so it's a mantelpiece decoration for now. And then we went, so my best friend made a polar bear, and she did not have a good time. She did not enjoy this. I don't know if it was because hers was a little bit harder than mine, or because she's not particularly, she doesn't particularly enjoy like hand sewing. So maybe it's not for everyone, but I really enjoyed it. But the main thing she wanted to try was needle felting. And I had seen it at craft fairs, but never really thought it was something I would want to do. but then we found 2 little kits and each kit came with 2 mice, and we decided to make one each of the mice. One looked like men mice and one looked more like women mice, so we decided that we would make our mice to represent ourselves and our partners. That's the type of weird thing that we do. So we each made a couple mouse pairing to represent our partners and ourselves. So here is my first mouse. This is Angus's mouse. He is adorable. I decided to go for like the Scandinavian sort of Sostrena vibe of not giving it eyes because I thought I would mess the eyes up, so I just left him eyeless, but he's got a wee puffer jacket and some skis and he's so cute. And then the female mice that we made have tutus and they are adorable. My best friend's one comes with a little crown, which is amazing, and hers was a white mouse, but a white mouse. But yeah, these were our little attempt at needle felting for the first time. So they're definitely not perfect, but they are adorable and I think are going to look great on our Christmas trees. And it's nice that we've all got sort of a matching decoration within our Christmas decorations now. So those were the main things that we got done. I did do a bit of knitting. We did do some painting on water bottles, but I'm not going to show you that. So we did, we arrived on the Friday, and we couldn't get in until the afternoon, so we arrived on the Friday afternoon. We crafted until 1 in the morning. We then had a bit of a lie-in. We went to the shops on Saturday. We then crafted again all the way through to 1 in the morning, and then we had to be out by 10 o'clock on the Sunday. So we did get quite a bit done, considering we were there for such a short time, but perhaps it doesn't necessarily look like that when we're showing finished objects. So that was our crafting trip, and it was, like I say, a lot of fun. But I know that not many people will be here to see me randomly trying new crafts, so I will show you / get into a traditional knitting and sewing podcast. Everything I've got here today is knitting or sewing. I do have a crochet piece, but I'm not going to show it to you because it might be a gift in the future. So we will start with finished objects. I did have a look at what I was working on last time, so I'm hoping that I cover everything. The only thing I know I'm not going to cover is my Hoolie Blanket. I'm still working on it for the Crafty, but I have only been sort of knitting up more strips, so I've got 4 strips left to go until I reach my target of 12, and then I'll be sewing them all up. So I'm hoping either next time or the time after that I will be in a position to show a finished blanket. Anyway, let's start with the one thing that is not socks, and that is a jumper. I took part in a test knit for Rebecca of the Crafty. Oh, I've actually just remembered I didn't talk about what I'm wearing. This is also by Rebecca from the Crafty, which is why it reminded me. This was my very first test knit for Rebecca. It is the Care sweater. I'm not sure how far down you can see, but it's got colour work on it. And I actually knit on this when Angus and I were away up north on a different holiday years ago. This is knit in Woolly Knit Merino, held double for the brown, and then Nervous Fibres fingering and suri held together for the colour work. I don't wear this as much as I should, so I decided to wear it today because I thought that it would be good for an autumn podcast, considering it is the last week in autumn just now. And then I'm also wearing, I don't know if you can see these, but I'm also wearing my pumpkin spice earrings, pumpkin pie earrings that I made out of clay. And again, I thought they would be worthwhile wearing for this podcast. Anyway, I'm all dishevelled because I forgot to tell you what I was wearing. The first finished object is a test knit for the Crafty for her kids pattern. She is turning quite a few of her patterns into kids versions, and I decided to test the stick season. A lot of the other kids versions I have knit before, so I decided to do the stick season because I've never knit that for myself. And this is meant to be for my youngest nephew. Now I knit the 4-year-old size, which I think is size 3 or size 4, but I'm not confident on that fact, but I think I knit the 4-year-old size, and this is what it looks like. I knit this in yarn that I got a while ago. It's 100% acrylic, but I thought for kids that's not so bad because you can just wash it. It's in this lovely blue colour with speckles of orange and teal, and obviously it's got the classic stick season texture at the top and then stockinette at the bottom. This didn't take me very long to knit up. The sleeves took less than an evening each, and then yeah, because it's such a small jumper, it really flew by. I'm glad I knit the stick season because I don't see myself knitting this for myself, so it was nice to do it in a mini version, and I think it would look really sweet on my nephew. The only reason I haven't given it to him yet is because he's going through a weird thing where he doesn't like wearing jumpers. I knit him sort of my own interpreted version of a Kintra sweater by the Crafty. Before I knew she was coming out with kids versions, I just knit one and I used the chart from the adult version, and he wore that for the first time. I gifted it to him about 6 months ago, and he wore that for the first time last weekend, and that's the first time they'd been able to get it on him. So I haven't gifted this to them yet because I'm not sure if it's going to be worth the fight to get him to wear it, to be honest. So I may just keep this for a future gift for a friend. But it's adorable. So this is my Stick Season Kids by the Crafty, and that is my only garment finished object for this episode. The rest of my finished objects are socks. I have been hit hard by Socktober. I'm obsessed. I just can't stop knitting socks. I love them. I love wearing them. My partner loves wearing them. So we've knit a lot of socks this month. There is actually a pair I wanted to show you that I can't because he's wearing them right now to work. So I'll have to insert a picture of those ones. I'll insert that picture now so you can see them. I knit them using a Zauberball Crazy by Shoppel and just a random skein of grey yarn that I had in stash that I am pretty sure is a West Yorkshire Spinners colourway, but I'm not 100% certain on that. So because of that, I decided to knit the heels and toes of those socks in the Zauberball. I probably would have normally gone for the plain colour rather than the crazy Zauberball colour, but because I wasn't 100% sure that that grey was a West Yorkshire Spinners, I decided just to not risk it, especially because I know my partner wears his socks so much, and you'll see that in a minute when I show you the pair I finished for him. They're already looking a bit dishevelled. But yeah, that was the first sort of pair. They're vanilla socks. I knit a 72 stitch count. Yep, I knit a 72 stitch count sock, and it was just, I alternated the colour every 8 rounds, and I did a heel flap and gusset for those socks. Then I moved on and I used Socktober as an opportunity to finish socks that I'd had on my needles for a little while. So I had those striped socks that I've just shown you. I had some plain socks. I don't think I showed you these last time, so I'm showing you them now. I knit these for my partner. He has worn them so much that they have stretched to no end. Like, this looks like a stocking, not a sock. It's quite ridiculous, if I'm honest. And it's because I realised my partner wears his knitted socks over normal socks sometimes when he's extra cold. Which means, of course, they're going to stretch and become massive. And you can see from the bottom, I just give him his sock straight away, but you can see from the state of the bottom of this sock how much he wears them. He has 3 or 4 pairs now, and he wears them to death. So I can't really moan, because that's exactly why I make them for him, so he can wear them. But I finished these less than a month ago, and this is already the state of them. Covered in hair, covered in dirt, and stretched out. This was knit in a King Cole zigzag colourway. I'm not sure if I would recommend it, to be honest. I liked knitting with it. It felt good to knit with, but the fact it's stretched this much in less than a month, I'm not sure whether I would recommend it or not. I actually haven't asked Angus if these are massive now on him or not, and I'll do that when he gets home, because it would be good to know, and I won't use the zigzag again if that is the case. But this was another pair of vanilla socks for Angus, and I finished up these, I believe, this month. I don't think I finished them in my last episode. And then I had 2 pairs of women's socks that needed a second sock. So I think I showed you these last time, but I decided to cast on the Expelliarmus socks. I want to say these are by Twin Stitches Designs, and if I've got that wrong, I'll pop it on the screen. And this is in a Homespun House pumpkin spice sock set that I bought last year. I don't think they have this in their shop this year, but I bought it last year and I kept it in stash to use this year. And I finished these. I actually finished these on our trip, our Scotland tour trip, because I wanted to get them done during Socktober, and I've worn mine a bunch, which is why they probably look a bit dirty. I was going to keep them for the podcast, but as soon as I finished them I just wanted to wear them, so apologies, you get some ratty socks. I really liked these. The cable was super simple to do, super straightforward. I think it looks very nice. I liked the garter ridges as well. All in all, a good sock pattern, and I decided to use it because I had it in my Ravelry library, and I'd had it in there a while because Twin Stitches Designs did a sale and I bought a bunch of patterns from them at that point, and I hadn't used it yet, so I thought these were perfect. Expelliarmus, Harry Potter gives a little bit, you know, magic is a little bit of a Halloween vibe, and then the colour obviously is wonderful as well. And I, as I've said before, love a Homespun House yarn, so this sock set was no exception. It's so soft, I love wearing it. Big fan. And then the final pair of socks, and my final finished object, was again one that had been lingering. I think I cast these on in May. I think I finished sock 1 in May, and then I've procrastinated knitting the second sock until October when I finally picked it up and cast it on. And that is the Mermaid Avenue socks. I think I spoke about these a while ago, but I'm gonna speak about them again just so you have an understanding of what these are and why I'm making them. In about May, my friend, mine and Angus's friend, Jamie, came over to our house, and I'd promised to knit him a pair of socks previously, but he'd never come over and picked a colourway. So they were here for dinner in May, he came over, he picked a colourway, and that visit we were also meeting his girlfriend, his new girlfriend, for the first time. And I was wearing my own Mermaid Avenue socks by Summerlee Knits, and when I was letting Jamie pick a colour, I also let her pick a colour, and she asked if she could have exactly the same socks as I was wearing. So I knit the first sock in May when I was excited and looking forward to gifting them these socks, and then the second sock I just did not ever get to. So I finally finished it. This is knit, like I said, it's the Mermaid Avenue socks by Summerlee Designs, Summerlee Design Co. And the main colour is James Makes Yarn, and this was a colour he did for breast cancer, for a breast cancer charity, and the proceeds, like the profits, went to a breast cancer charity. So I think this was like a once, it's not one of a kind skein because he made loads of them, but one of a kind colourway. So I don't think you can get this anymore. And then the blue colour is Peacock by Cooks and Crafts. Now, traditionally, I would not pair these two colours together. I think they're cute, but it's not my vibe. But the reason I did that is because when I was knitting Jamie's socks, I did it the opposite way around. So Jamie's socks have been done for ages, but they wanted couple socks, and I think that as a pair, these look, or as a set, these look adorable. So I am going to gift these finally to our friends. I need to block them and stuff because these ones need a block, but I'm going to gift them for Christmas, which I actually think is really good. It means I'm not just randomly giving them socks. I'll gift them for Christmas, and that will be them. This really shows off the Peacock colourway. It's a gorgeous colourway. I'm going to a yarn show, East Nuke Knits, at the end of November, and Cooks and Crafts is going to be there, and I will probably come away with another skein of her yarn because this is just glorious. So yeah, finished Jamie's ages ago, but this was a finished object for October as well. So if I pile all of these up nicely, this is quite a stack for Socktober. And I've got another pair on my needles, but yeah, this is quite a good Socktober stack. I mean, the blue ones I didn't knit in October, but I did knit the other pair for Angus that I don't have, so the pile size would still be the same. Right, that's my finished objects. Let me collate my whips. I'll be right back. I'm trying to counteract there being like stuff everywhere when I finish a podcast, so at the end of that section I've just put away some of the stuff and now I'm going to talk about my whips, and hopefully that will keep the house in a little bit more order than it has been recently. Right, let's start with whips. Let's go oldest to newest, shall we? And this is actually the only of my whips that you have seen previously, and it's my only garment whip, and it is my spot sweater. Last time I spoke to you about this, I was finishing the ribbing on the body, and then I was going to move on to the collar, and that is exactly what I have done. So, if I pull it out here, I have knit the collar of the jumper, and I have finished the first sleeve! It's done! So I finished the ribbing on the body, I did a split hem and I did both ribbings, and then I picked up and knit the collar, and it's just in 1x1 rib, and then picked up and knit the sleeve, and I'm loving it. I keep trying it on, I'm really excited to have it. My goal is to finish this jumper by East Nuke Knits, which is the last weekend in November, and I've got one sleeve left to go and then blocking. So I think it can be done. Again, I should tell you what I've knit this in. The main colour for this is Knitting for Olive Merino in the cream, and then a random undyed suri that I had in stash. And then the contrast colours are the Cookston Crafts Succulent Advent from last year. And because I'm going to see Claire in person at East Nuke, I would love to have this done and wear it so that I can show her her Advent in my jumper. So yeah, this is where we're at. I've got one sleeve to go. I've been super motivated this October, if you couldn't tell by socks, so this hasn't got as much needle time as I would have liked. But we're still making slow and steady progress on it, so it's not necessarily a bad thing. And I've just got one more sleeve to go, so it's really not got that much left. I have left the ribbing on try-on tubing because I don't know if this is going to grow in length dramatically when I block it, and if it does, I don't want to have done a bind off that I have to unpick, so I'm going to leave it like this until I block it, and then I'll decide what to do with the cast off. But there isn't really that much to say about it, to be honest, except it's not really had enough time. I was being really good at weaving in my ends, and now I have not been, so the entire sleeve, none of the ends are woven in. And I noticed when I was admiring it one day that I've somehow dropped a stitch on the back, so I'm gonna have to fix that too, but I've just got a little stitch marker in it just now so I don't lose it any further, and I'm just gonna have to fix that when I'm working on it. But yeah, this has been on, I think I said this last time, this has been on my to knit list forever, and I'm finally getting round to it, and I'm really excited to wear it and show it off. Every time I pick it up, like pick it out and hold it up against my body, I can't wait for it to be done. But some of my other whips have just been enticing me a bit more, which is why I've not picked this up. But I think a deadline of 3 weeks' time is perfectly reasonable, and I think I'm definitely going to get there. This, I should have said, is the Spot Sweater by Anne Wenzel, and I'm actually following the Spot Sweater Regular, which is her newer version and has an adjusted fit, because the original had a really deep yoke and a lot of people didn't like that, so she's released the Spot Sweater Regular, which has a bit more of a normal size yoke and a bit more of a normal fit, less oversized essentially. So I'm following the Spot Sweater Regular and I'm knitting size 3. That is my only garment that I've got on the needles at the moment. I have garments in my future that I have the yarn for, but I told myself I can't cast them on until I finish the spot, otherwise I think that'll just end up lingering for even longer than it needs to. So because I set that restriction on myself, I have other things that I've cast on. Let's start with a pair of socks. This is in a bag I made for myself. It's like a wintry autumn bag. This was one of the first bags I made for myself, and as Ali from Little Drops of Wonderful would say it's a dodgy bag, because it's definitely not perfect, but it works for a project. So, oh, that's not what I wanted to show you. Oh well, we'll go here first then. I thought this was a different project in this bag. We were out, right, start again, Joe, start at the beginning of the story. It has gotten really cold here in Scotland. It seemed like we went on our October holiday, we came back and it's just been freezing. We went for a dog walk a couple of days ago and I had my mittens on. I knit a pair of mittens for myself last year and Angus doesn't have any mittens and he asked me if I would make him some. So I went up to my stash and I had a look and I picked out some colours and he picked one. And so I cast him on a pair of mittens. Simple as that. I'm holding 2 yarns together in order to make it DK because I wasn't sure a fingering weight mitten would be warm enough. And this is actually the random grey colour I was talking about from those socks, which I think is West Yorkshire Spinners in just a grey colour. And I'm holding it with Biff Sugar yarns in the colour Fellside. And in the cake it looks like this. I've had this in stash for a little while and haven't used it, and finally thought this was the perfect time, and Angus picked that one out of the 3 that I showed him for his main colour. And this, let me just take the needle stopper off because it's making it look funny, is where we're at. So I literally cast this on 2 days ago and I have knit the cuff and I've just started on the hand. I was going to say main body, but the hand of the mitten. So I'm holding the 2 double. I did 2x2 rib. I'm following the World's Simplest Mittens pattern by Tin Can Knits, which is a free pattern, but I changed it from 1x1 rib to 2x2 rib because I like that more. So that's that. And yeah, I've just started doing the increases for the hand. I am knitting this on a 3.75mm needle, which I actually had to buy especially for the project because I didn't have a small circumference one, a small circular, and I love knitting on small circulars. And I also have the most adorable, I've got a Bobble and Badger stitch marker, and then I've got the most adorable little needle stopper on there. He actually has a friend. I didn't show you this on my spot sweater, but he actually has a little buddy, although it's on a different needle, that's got a little pumpkin spice. So cute. But that's on my spot sweater needles. Anyway, so this is just where I'm at. It's only been a couple of nights that I've been working on it, and hopefully they'll whip up pretty quickly and they'll be nice and toasty. Angus tried them on, so I know it goes over his hand at least, which is a good sign. So these are my World's Simplest Mittens by Tin Can Knits, and I can't wait to give him them so he actually has mittens and we can go out on our dog walks in our matching mittens, which I know is probably such a loser thing to say, but you know, it brings me joy, so I'm happy with it. First whip. Nope, second whip. My spot sweater was my first whip. My goodness, my brain's like a sieve today. My next whip is in this adorable Lysander and Olive bag. I think they went out of business. I bought it in a sale last year that I thought was their end of like final sale, but they may still be in business. I bought mine on Etsy, perfect for autumn. And this is a pair of socks. I have no business buying sock yarn, none at all. I have an entire room upstairs filled with sock yarn, but I was perusing Vinted the other day and came across this yarn and bought it, basically. It is from Tailor Made Yarns, which I'd never heard of before, and it is in their Harry Potter colourway. It is superwash merino, nylon and sparkle, and it's just on their 4-ply sock base. This is what the company card looks like, and this, oh, that's an ugly bit of the cake, sorry. This is what the cake looks like. It was already caked up on Vinted, so I didn't even have to cake it up, it just arrived and I could cast it on. And honestly, I was going through a bit of like decision paralysis and wanting to cast on new things but not really knowing what to, and then when this arrived in the post all caked up ready to go, I just cast these on because it was easy. So yeah, this is the Harry Potter colourway. It's got some silver sparkle in it, and then it's like a speckled yarn. And this is where I'm at so far. I've done the leg, and I've done the heel flap and the heel turn. And I'm just on the gusset decreases. I knit a 1x1 rib cuff, which is very unlike me, but I just thought I would try it. And then a 64 stitch leg is what I'm doing. The colour is doing a bit of spiralling, which I couldn't decide if I liked or not. And then when I was away on my craft trip with my best friend, I asked her if she liked it, and she just said, yeah, it looks really cool. So I decided to get over myself, and just because I know that's colour pooling doesn't mean that it ruins the sock, and essentially it's socks at the end of the day, so it's not that deep. So I'm going to keep working on them. I do think, I was speaking to my friends Maggie and Rebecca about this, because there's a part of me that's feeling restricted by the rules that I'm setting on myself with knitting. So I'm only allowed one jumper project on the needles. I'm only meant to have one pair of socks on the needles. I'm only meant to have one kids accessory or normal accessory on the needles. And that was to try and mean that I was actually working through things instead of just starting things and never getting anywhere with them. But I think I'm finding that restrictive, because I cast these on and then they weren't quite what I wanted them to be in terms of the colour. And so I was really not motivated to work on them, and I was just working on them for the sake of it, not because I actually wanted to. Whereas I've got a Homespun House colourway that I bought this year called Cider Season, and I'm desperate to cast that on. But because this is only here, I'm not allowing myself. And it's a silly rule. Like, this is my hobby. I can do whatever I want. I'm an adult with free will. Like, I can cast on another pair of socks if I want to. But these arbitrary rules I'm setting for myself, I think are restricting me, and it's really annoying. So I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do, if I'm just going to cast on the Cider Season socks or not. But right now, this is where we're at with this sock. I kind of set myself, again, another arbitrary rule of if I finish the gusset decreases, I could cast on the Cider Season sock. But then I'm like, if I do that, I'm actively taking time away from one of my other whips that I'm working on, which I'm enjoying. So I think I'm having a really busy time at work. I have a really busy personal life at the moment. I'm tired. I'm hungry. It's getting darker earlier. And I think all of those things combined, I'm just in a weird headspace of like having so many things I want to work on and then never knowing what to work on, so then procrastinating because I don't know what to work on. It's a whole thing. That's a topic for a different time. But if you're feeling the similar or a similar way, then I'm with you. You're not alone. But anyway, I knit my socks on 2.25mm needles. This is my Harry Potter sock, and I am working on it. It's not to say I'm not enjoying it. I don't want it to come across that I'm not enjoying that sock, because I am. But for a while I was just picking it up and working on it, and I wasn't inspired by it. I think it's also difficult because the colour is quite dark at night time. It's quite hard to knit on them unless I've got a light like directly on me, whereas the Cider Season one I'm dreaming of is like light and speckly and got gold stellina in it, and it just seems a bit more inviting to me right now. So I think I'm going to cast that one on too. I'm feeling the urge to cast it on, but I'll tell you in a minute about all my other projects I have in the brain bank. But that is my next whip. And then my final knitting whip that I'm going to talk to you about is an exciting one. I, for ages, have wanted to cast on a doodle cowl by Jamie Lomax. Last year, I purchased a whole bunch of her patterns when she was having a sale. She is the person that does the doodle decks, the actual cards, but she also sells online patterns that contain all of the charts that the cards have. I originally was going to buy a bunch of the packs of cards because the cards is fun and it's a little bit more like tactile and it's different. But then I decided it was cheaper and easier to buy the online pattern. So that's what I did. And I've been humming and hawing about what to cast on and what type I wanted to do, and if I wanted to do a cowl or a scarf, and if I wanted to do a Christmas one, or if I wanted to do a winter one or autumn or blah 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 blah. And I finally decided to just cast one on. So I printed out the pages of each of her patterns that contained the charts I liked. I numbered them 1 to 20, and then I'm using a random number generator on Google to select the order that I knit them in. And this is what I have my gosh, it's all tangled up. Let's just move that yarn to the side. This is what I have so far. So I've done 3 charts. The first one is difficult to see because it's rolling, but it's just a little crosses section. The next one is much easier to see. It's the lovely leaf motif. And then this one that I've done here is socks. Cute little socks for Socktober. And I am knitting this using scraps other than the main colour, which I'll talk about in a minute. So yeah, the yellow is a scrap I got from a yarn swap, I think from my friend Maggie. The green is actually a mini I got from the Perth Yarn Festival from Mothy and the Squid. The orange is Kinross 4-ply that I had left over. And then I'm continuing to work on this and picking up minis and things as I go from my stash. So the next one I've pulled out is a maple leaf chart. So I have picked out a red colour, a mild red colour that I'm going to wind up and use for that. I'm holding all of my yarn double except my main colour, which is DK, because it's a DK weight cowl, and I've actually decided to do slightly less stitches than is in the pattern, because the pattern makes an 8-inch or a 10-inch cowl and I wanted slightly less, because even this is quite tall for me. So the essential premise of a doodle cowl is that you knit in a circle, so it's like a tube, and then you knit for as long as you want to make the cowl. You can do just a once around, you can do a twice around, or you can have a twist, or she even has doodle scarves where you just knit like this until you've knit the length of a scarf and then you seam up the edges. But when you're doing a cowl like I am, you cast on a provisional cast on, and then I'm assuming you'll take that out and Kitchener stitch the 2 ends together to make it a continuous circle. I think my plan is to do a infinity cowl, so it's kind of double the length of a normal cowl and it's got a twist in it so that you can wear it and wrap it around yourself and keep yourself warm or have it slightly looser. I haven't quite decided yet. I'm going to keep working on this and just doing the little colour work motifs until I get bored, and then I'll decide whether I want to do the single or the double size. But this is my doodle cowl, and it's really cute. I actually knit these 3 charts in the space of like 2 days and then haven't knit on it in a wee while, because I was really excited about this and I've been thinking about this for ages, but once I'd sort of scratched the initial itch I'd gone off it a bit, but now I'm holding it out again. I really like it and I can't wait to get on the maple leaf chart next. I'm gonna sneeze. My goodness, bless me. And this actually really nicely leads me into, oh no, I have a sewing whip. We'll do a little bit of acquisition and then move on to my sewing whip. But when I was planning this, I knew I needed a main colour. So I went to a yarn shop that's not too far from me in Kinross, and they sold this yarn, which I'd never heard of before, but I've got it here. I've got a skein of it here. And it is the Bo Peep Pure 100% Falkland Islands wool by West Yorkshire Spinners. And I think it was £5 per skein in this shop that I went to. And you get 112 metres for 50 grams. And it comes in, like I say, a little skein. And I wound it up. This is so soft, like unbelievably soft. And that's why I picked it. I walked around the shop, I found something that was super soft in a cream colour, and I bought it. I bought 4 skeins because that's all they had. And that's what I'm using as the main colour. I wanted one cohesive colour throughout the cowl, and then I'm going to use a bunch of other scrappy colours to try and make it meld together. There is a picture that I found on Instagram that I will put up so you can see that I'm using as my inspiration, which is what made me pull the trigger and start this. Oh, sorry, it's all rolled up. But yeah, this was my Bo Peep yarn that I bought. It's an acquisition, but it's also my final whip. And that's not even sitting in a bag. It's sitting in one of my like big project bags where I keep a lot of my projects, but it doesn't have its own individual bag, so we're playing with fire with that one. Right, and my last whip is a sewing whip. So apologies if you don't need sewing, or if you don't like sewing. You can skip ahead because I probably won't talk too much about this, and I'll move into acquisitions. But I'm going to show you my sewn whip as much as I can. One of my friends, Ailey, is having a Ceilidh for her 30th birthday. For anyone that's not Scotland based, a Ceilidh is an evening of Scottish country dancing. There's usually food, there's a band, and everyone Ceilidh dances essentially. It's a lot of fun. It happens predominantly at weddings or for big events like big birthdays. And Ailey is also a friend that I have helped learn to sew throughout our time of being friends. We've had crafternoons together. I'm going to her house actually soon to do some crafting for the party. And so I decided what would be more of a nod to Ailey than to make my outfit for her Ceilidh. And that is what I have done. So this is my Ceilidh outfit. Now, you probably won't be able to see it all because it's a big dress, but I've got a video of me trying it on at this stage, so I will pop that in. It's not the best quality, but I'll pop it in so you can see it. I have made what's called the Hollyhock romper, which is a sort of high neck romper with a low back, and then it's got a lot of, I think they're called godets, in the legs. It is shorts, but it's got a lot of godets in the legs to add a lot of volume. So when you spin around, like you'll see in the video, it has the opportunity to sort of flare out. I decided to sew it in this gorgeous rainbow tartan that I had in stash already. And on Sunday, I was trying to decide what to sew, and I was like, oh, I want to sew something or I want to knit, and I couldn't decide. And then I went upstairs to look at my sewing, and this caught my eye, and I knew I had the Hollyhock pattern printed out, and I was like, I need to do it. So I've been working on this in the evenings and trying to get it done, and I just absolutely love it. The main construction is complete now. I need to work on the hem because it's a big mess, and I need to do the bias binding for the armholes and the neck hole, and I hate bias binding, so I am putting it off, even though I really shouldn't. I think I have time in the next couple of evenings to try and do some bias binding, so that's what I'm going to try and do, but hopefully in the next episode I can show you me wearing it at Ailey's Ceilidh and having a wonderful time. But yeah, this is my only sewing whip of recent days, and it is glorious, and I'm obsessed with it, and I hope I've done it justice in the clip that I've shown you, even if it is a little bit dark. Okay, I should also say for that sewing piece that the Hollyhock romper looks scary because it comes in so many pieces, but actually the sewing was very simple. There was no part of it that I found difficult. It's a lot of straight seams. So if you are unsure or you look at it and you think, I would love that, but I'm not sure if I could ever sew it, it really is a lot more straightforward than you might think, and I would recommend that you give it a try. Right, let me go and gather my acquisitions because I know there's a few and I've forgotten a book up there, and I'll be right back. I'm back. So the first acquisitions I want to talk to you about, I'll talk to you about them in the order that I've received them. And like I said, when I was on my trip back from up north, we stopped in at a yarn shop, and I've actually just looked up the name. It's called Karelia House Yarn and Fabric Cafe, and it is it's just outside of Aberfeldy. It is the most unique shop in the middle of nowhere. It is really in the middle of nowhere, and it's this quite large unit that's got embroidery stuff, it's got a yarn section, it's got loads of fabric, it's got a cafe, they sell loads of different sewing machines. It's honestly so strange that it's in the middle of nowhere, but I went there on my trip, so maybe it just captures tourists or people that live in the sort of Highlandish, that's not really the Highlands yet, but in that area. So it was a very unique shop that I went to, and they gave me this bag, which is from a 2023 yarn extravaganza, because I bought a few things from there. I'm actually just going to move, I went to the other shop after, so all the stuff from that shop's on top. But I bought a few things from Karelia, and I'll start with one that I've been looking for a while, and I wanted to buy in person, and that is the Rico Make It Tweed. Oh no, is it? Yeah. Rico Creative Make It Tweed. And I think I got 3 of these. I did. I got 3 of these. So, this yarn is a, like, cobweb weight. You get 445 meters per 50 grams, and it's 35% viscose, 35% acrylic, and 35% polyamide. So it's all plastic, which isn't the most ideal. But you hold this yarn with another colour, and it makes it look tweedy, like rainbow tweedy. There you go. And I have wanted to make a plain grey cardigan, an O-neck plain grey cardigan with this, because I think I would wear that with everything. I need more cardigans in my wardrobe. I think I've knit 2 summer ones and 1 winter one, and that's it. And I need to knit more, really. And I want to knit one that I can wear all the time, but a plain grey cardigan does not excite me. So holding something like this with it will make it a little bit more Joe, but also keep it super wearable. So I've been on the hunt for this for a while. I know you can buy it on a lot of online shops, but I wanted to try and buy it in person if I could. And I like to support small yarn shops when I can, and buy from local yarn shops, because if we don't, we won't have them anymore. So I bought this from Karelia. I got 3 skeins, which gives me just over 1200 meters. Is that right? 450, 900. Yeah. No. Yeah, just over 1200 meters. Which I think will do me enough for a cardigan. And like I say, if I need to get an additional ball from an online shop, I can. But this way, I've got the predominant amount from a local yarn shop. So this probably won't be cast on for a while because I don't have a grey to hold it with yet, nor do I have the perfect O-neck pattern in mind. But I knew I was going to knit that, so I decided to get this while I could, and this will go in my stash for the time that I find the perfect grey and the perfect cardigan pattern. And then, as I told you before, my sock yarn, sorry, I'm looking for my bottle. My sock yarn and sock knitting kick was fully in swing. So everything else I got from Karelia was sock yarn. Let's start with the 3 random ones. I have been watching a lot of people's YouTube videos. I have been watching Therapy by Craft, and she knits almost predominantly socks, like almost always socks. Love her. And I've been watching a lot of other people. Knits by AJ. Knits by AJ I've been watching, and some of the people I've been watching have knit with this yarn before, which is Regia Perfect. And I was really intrigued by the concept of this yarn. For anyone that doesn't know, it is essentially a yarn that is meant to produce 2 identical socks. So the yarn stops and ends with this yellow guide yarn, and you're meant to wind off that and then start knitting as soon as you finish the yellow. And then once you work your way through the leg, and when it changes to a solid colour, you knit the heel. And then when it changes out of the solid colour, you should be at the end of your heel and you'll do the foot, and then it changes again to do the toe. Now, I don't know what size these are going to be, to be honest, but I bought the kids version, which means they're 60 grams, and this is the Arnie and Carlos collection. And I got the colour, does it have a colour name? It does. 2989. So this is the first one I got, in blue. I decided I wanted to try and knit my nephews some socks, and this was on sale, and I thought I'd give it a go. Good opportunity to try Regia, good opportunity to try Perfect. So I got this. I don't know if you'll be able to see, but this is what it's meant to look like. So it's like self-patterning, which I love. So fingers crossed it works out, because I got it in this blue, this green, which is also Arnie and Carlos, and this is the colour 2987, and that's what this one is meant to look like. And then I also bought it in the Arnie and Carlos 2983, and that's what this one is meant to look like. Like I say, it was on sale, so I bought 3 to give them a go. If I try one and I don't like it, I'll sell the other ones on Vinted or pass them to a friend. But yeah, these are 75-25, I think. Yep, 75 virgin wool, 25 polyamide, which means they're machine washable to up to 40 degrees and dryer proof. Like I said, you get 60 grams, which is 252 meters. And it says, quite simple with the yellow starter thread, 2 identical socks from 1 ball. So I'll let you know how I get on with those because I think they'll be fun. So those were my 3 sock yarns that I got. And then I treated myself because I was on holiday and I thought, why not? So I treated myself to this, which is a West Yorkshire Spinners, and it's their new Christmas colourway for this year. Karelia Yarns did a beautiful gift bag. So if you know a sock knitter that might like something like this, I would recommend. It was fairly pricey, but you know, is what it is. So it came in a gift bag. It was the yarn, I think a pattern, there was a wool wash, and I think a hand like lotion in there. And I think it was £25, which is why I didn't buy it. But because I just wanted the yarn really, but they didn't just sell the yarn. They sold the yarn and a pattern. So I went for the cheapest way to buy it. So I don't want to unwrap it yet. So I won't. I'll try and find a picture and pop it up. It is their mulled wine colourway. It is sparkly. It's got gold stellina in it. And I will put up a picture of what the colourway looks like. This came with the Nutmeg Knitted Socks by Winwick Mum. And they look to be just like a cable sock pattern, which I know I probably won't do, so I might gift the pattern to my mum, this printed version, because my mum loves a printed version. But yeah, it's the Signature Sparkle 4-ply in mulled wine. And I'll put up a picture so you've seen it. But yeah, got myself a wee sock kit to knit Christmas socks because they're my favourite type of socks to knit. So that was what I got from Karelia Yarns. Let me just, I have uploaded I'm just looking up the name of the Kinross yarn shop because I can't remember it. Hee hee hee. Skeins and Bobbins, there we go. So the next place I went, which was the day after our holiday, was Skeins and Bobbins, which is the yarn shop in Kinross I already spoke about. And like I said, I bought the 4 skeins, the one that I also wound up, of the Bo Peep Pure, which again is lovely. I actually could see myself using this as the main strand of the cardigan I was talking about, but I don't know if they do like the type of grey that I'm looking for. They might just do a grey that's slightly too dark. And I also like the price in the Skeins and Bobbins shop was way better than anywhere I can find it online. So I would definitely want to go back to them. But I just need to go back to them and ask them if they like have a big enough quantity for me to knit a jumper in, or if they'd have to order it in. But anyway, that's the first thing I bought, and I've already spoken about that, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. But the next thing I bought is for a friend. I don't think he watches, but Sean, if you're watching, go away. Sean is one of my closest friends. I met him in a previous job. We've stayed friends, we're very close, and he is knitworthy. He loves talking to me about my knitting, or I don't know if he loves, but he puts up with talking to me about my knitting. He actually came with me to a yarn shop very recently, and he's bought me for Christmas last year, he bought me some yarn. He actually went to Be Inspired Fibres in Edinburgh, which for anyone that knows is an overwhelming experience as a knitter, never mind walking in and being like, I have bloody no idea what I'm doing. So the shop owner, I think her name is May, apologies if I got that wrong, she helped him out and he bought me some yarn. And then he went to Peru last year as well and came back from that holiday with some yarn for me from Peru. So he's a knitworthy guy is basically what that's meant to like tell you. So I've decided I want to knit my pair of socks. I know his shoe size, I know his favourite colour, so I'm going to knit my pair of socks, and if I have time I'm going to knit him a beanie as well. So I bought this actually from Karelia as well. This is a Zauberball Crazy. As you can tell, I like these at the moment. This is in the colour Cool Botanical Garden, and it's like greeny, bluey colour. One thing about Sean is he likes things to match. He likes things in a certain order, so I didn't really want to get one that was super crazy colours, because then I knew I definitely wouldn't be able to get the socks to match. Whereas, like, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but that's kind of what it looks like. So it's not too different that I think I wouldn't be able to get it to look fairly similar as I'm knitting the two socks. So I got this in Corelia House, and then I took this to Skeins and Bobbins in Kinross. Sorry, these are all new shops to me, so I'm having to refer to the internet to make sure I get the names right. I took this with me to Skeins and Bobbins, and I found a coordinating colour, because Corelia House really didn't have many coordinating colours in West Yorkshire spinners for me to choose from. I was hoping to get a navy, but neither shop had a navy, so this was the closest I could get. And this is Signature 4-ply by West Yorkshire Spinners in the colour Cobalt, which is 1005. It's a 75/25, as is this, and I just thought that those two would make quite a nice pair. My plan is to make them the same as the socks I showed you right at the beginning of this, where I use this for cuffs, stripes, and then I'll use and heels and toes, and then this will be my contrast stripe. And I'm hoping that that means that it will look uniform enough that it will suit what Sean likes, but also be a little bit fun, because this will obviously alternate through the colours. So I need to cast these on for him. He's obviously got a men's size foot, which means that they're going to take me a little bit longer than perhaps my socks take me, and I want to gift them to him at Christmas time, so I'm hoping that I can get them done for him. So I need to cast them on, really, which is why, again, I'm not 100% on casting on the cider season socks, because I need to wait / I need to decide whether I need to do Sean's socks first before I cast on another pair for myself, because I have lots of hand knit socks and he has none. So, you know, maybe I should prioritise getting my gift knit done. Anyway, another yarn shop I've been to in the last month, it's been a heavy yarn shop month apparently, is Be Inspired Fibres in Edinburgh. Like I said, it's a wonderful shop, but it's quite overwhelming. There is baskets everywhere, there is yarn all up the walls, it's quite a small space, and when I went there was quite a few people in it. So just prepare yourself that it will be overwhelming, but in a good way. And you might need to ask for help to find stuff. I have a basic understanding of where things are, having been a handful of times now, but you might need to ask for help if you've looked online or you're looking for something specific. I went in to find a needle, specifically this needle, the Chowgu 9-inch circular 3.75 needle, which is what I'm knitting my mittens in. I needed this to do my mittens, so I went and bought this. And at the same time, I bought 3.75, which is the same size, in Knit Pro double points, because these are I find it easier to do double points for the thumb of mittens, and I don't have this size. My Chowgu needles my Chowgu DPNs go up to 3.5. So I needed the next size up, and I'll pop these in my Chowgu case as well, so I know I have them for future. But that's what I got from Be Inspired Fibres. So I have been a strong supporter of the local yarn shop businesses recently, which I'm really enjoying, actually. This is, I'll get into this, well, yeah, I'll just get into it now. Let's get comfortable and I'll talk about it. I think I've mentioned it before, but I have anxiety. I went through a really difficult period a couple years ago, and it trailed into last year and the start of this year, really, and I have been working really hard on my mental well-being, on my anxiety. And one of the things one of my friends said to me was, every time you let anxiety stop you doing something, your world gets a little bit smaller. And that really hit home for me. It still makes me a bit emotional saying it out loud now, because I am the type of person that really wants to live life. Like, I want to experience life. I want to enjoy things. And when they told me that, it really hit home that I was allowing my world to become smaller and smaller because of anxiety. And since I've heard that, I have been doing everything possible to not let that happen. And I've been really pleased with how it's going. I'm also like channeling Taylor Swift, because one of my favourite songs from her at the moment is The One, and she says, I'm doing good, I'm on some new shit, been saying yes instead of no. And I know it sounds cheesy, but that's what I've been trying to do. I've been trying to say yes instead of no to myself so much more. So, like, we just went for that craft weekend away. We went to several shops, and that was something that was really difficult for me. And I was able to wander around the shops with my best friend and look at all the Christmas stuff, which is something I used to love doing. And I was able to do it. I was able to go away for that weekend and have little to no issues. I've been able to do things, and even though I've experienced anxiety doing them, I've been able to work through that anxiety and then continue to do the things I want to do. This month I've also been to a choir concert at the Usher Hall in Edinburgh, which is an overwhelming space in itself, but I went to watch my mum in the choir and I had a great time. I went to a fitness class for the first time in years the other night, and that was sort of a spontaneous, my friend said, do you want to come? And I just said yep, and I went, and it was fabulous. But like, going to all these yarn shops in person, quite often by myself, is something that would have been out of the question sort of last year. And so I feel so proud of myself for where I am now and how I'm getting on and how I'm tackling life. So I know that was a little bit deep, but it's my channel. I can talk to you about how proud I am of myself if I want to. So yeah, I allowed myself to treat myself in these local yarn shops because I've been doing so well and I'm really pleased with myself. Anyway, this last purchase isn't actually from a local yarn shop at all. I pre-ordered a book a while ago now by a Norwegian designer, and I can't pronounce her name. I think it's Une Cecilia Oxvold. Looks like this. I have no idea if that was right or wrong or if I butchered their name. But I pre-ordered this book and it's called Happy Nordic Knits, and the reason I pre-ordered it is because the jumpers in here are phenomenal. They are, oh my goodness, someone's having a blooming field day outside my house. Or their car is breaking down, one of the two. The jumpers in this are bright, colourful colour work, and that is what I want in my life. So I will see, there was one particular jumper that I bought this book for. Let me see if I can find it and I'll show you it. But to be honest, I love all of them. So I could actually see myself knitting a bunch of these, which isn't that common. I think quite often I buy books or I look at books and there's only like a couple of patterns I was actually knit, but these ones I think I would knit for. Depends on, I haven't actually read the patterns yet, but I don't know if I can show you this without actually showing you the pattern. Hopefully you can see that. If not, I'm sorry, but I'll have to cut it out if it shows the pattern. But yeah, there's just loads of beautiful patterns in here. This one, look at it. There's just, yeah, it's just so glorious. And it's just bright and fun, and I love it. So I'm really glad I bought this book. It was actually up on my shelf already because I've been admiring it. And I think I'm going to prioritise knitting something out of here, maybe in January, come January time. But it says, escape to scenic Norwegian winter wonderland that knitwear designer Une Cecilia Oxvold calls home. This stunning collection of original designs features colourful sweaters, accessories and zero waste projects designed to keep you warm and stylish in an outdoor setting. And I just love it. So I haven't tried any of the patterns. I haven't done anything except, you know, have a wee read through and have a look at all the pictures. So I can't talk about the quality of the patterns or how they fit or anything like that. But it does actually say projects for men and women's sizes extra small to 5XL. So it actually seems like it might be a size inclusive book, which doesn't happen very often, but don't quote me on that because again, I haven't checked that myself. It says on the back that it's £20. I don't know how much I paid for it. I don't think I would have paid much more than that, so a little book if you're interested in books and knitting from books. And that is everything. My goodness, that was a lot of stuff. I have so many things that I want to knit on, but this is what I've been working on just now. There's not really any point in me going through the babbling brain that I have at the moment with all the knits I want to work on, because there's just so many. And I haven't decided how to prioritise them, so I can't really share that with you either. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed my ramblings and my latest episode. I had a lovely time sitting down and chatting with you. I always feel like it's going to be more of an effort than it is. And there will be things that I have missed since last time because I think it's been about a month. I've actually just noticed over there's a blanket that I crocheted for a baby that's just been born that I don't think you've ever seen. I'll insert a picture of it if I can to show you. There's been, I think that's it, if I'm honest. I don't think there has been other stuff, but there's bound to have been stuff that I've missed because it's been a month and I haven't been noting down things as I finish them. So I'm sorry if I've forgotten something, but you won't know anyway, it'll just be me. I hope you're having a great October. I hope you're taking part in Socktober if you like sock knitting like I am. If not, I hope you're working on something fun and exciting. It's coming up to festive season. I love the festive season. It's my favourite time of year, but I'm trying this year to allow myself to ease into it. It's still Halloween, still got Halloween to come, still got fireworks night to come. I'm actually having a Friendsgiving this year, which I've never done before, which will be fun. So there's lots of nice and exciting things to happen before the craziness of the festive season. So I'm allowing myself to dip my toe in, have a think about if I want to do a jumper, think about a gift knit, make some Christmas decorations, but I'm not going to dive fully in for a little while yet. I actually this year haven't bought an advent, which is very exciting. I decided I wasn't allowed to buy an advent until I had worked with my previous advents, and that has worked because I'm working on my spot sweater for my advent last year. And I did organise earlier this year a scrappy advent swap with some people, so I need to make sure that I am making up my advent to send to the people that I've got, because I've got 2 people to provide for. So I'll be receiving a box from one of them, which is nice. And I think that's everything. I don't think I've got another advent. Last year I collected a bunch of Christmas sock skeins. I think I've got 6 of them. And I was originally going to do it for my mum. I was just going to gift her those for an advent. But actually, I also want to knit with these yarns and they're really nice. So I think what mum and I are going to do is at the beginning of December, or maybe the last week in November, pick out one skein each and knit a pair of socks with it, and then give the leftovers, swap the leftovers, and then the other person can knit a pair of socks with the leftovers, and then do that for the skeins that we've got. So we might start mid-November, we might start closer to December, I don't really know. It depends how many socks she thinks she can crank out and how many socks I think I can do, because we've got some gorgeous yarns in there and I can't wait to show you them. There's also everyone and their mum, every yarn dyer seems to be coming out with their Christmas collection this weekend, and it's just been payday, so I need to make some conscious purchases. There's one set I definitely want to buy. The rest of them I'm going to try and be really conscious and not buy, but Christmas is my favourite time of year, so it's going to be really difficult. So let me know if there's any designers or knitwear hand dyers that you like, things that you're thinking about buying for Christmas time or that are coming out in Christmas collections. Let me know what you've been knitting on recently. That would be lovely to hear down in the comments. And yeah, if there's anything upcoming for you, how are you getting on? How are you feeling? Has this weird time of year in the UK, we've just changed back to to Greenwich Mean Time? Yeah, we were in summertime, we're now in GMT. The clock change has definitely messed with me. If I'm being honest, I think that's led to me feeling a bit tired all the time, hungry, blah 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 blah. So how are you dealing with the time change if you're also in the UK? Have you noticed a big difference? Are you going through a weird brain moment at the moment like I am? If so, you're not alone. It would be wonderful if you've made it this far in the video if you could like. It just shares my content with other people like you that might enjoy what I'm chatting about. And if you haven't already, please subscribe, because then you get notified. Because I don't post regularly, you kind of need to subscribe so you get a notification when I do post. So, apologies, that's on me for not posting regularly, but a girl's got life to live, I can't always be sitting down to film an hour-long video. So yeah, excuse my mindless ramble at the end. I hope you're having a great week, and I will catch up with you soon. Bye.